Hello everybody, Zeidoktor here, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is dedicated to My Hero Academia, Chapter 121, the second semester opening ceremony. We open with pretty much the conclusion of Deku and Bakugo's fight. All Might has broken it up, and he actually takes the time to give Bakugo a proper explanation of everything else that's been going on. Like he gets pretty much gets the entire story according to Deku's narration. Bakugo acknowledged that the secret of if the secret behind his powers were exposed, it could lead to great disaster or something like that, right? So why did you go blow up blabbing about it, Deku, you idiot? All Might once again reassures Bakugo that his using up all his powers was his choice and his alone, and none of the responsibility lies with Bakugo. But he does note that in the end, what he has to do doesn't actually change. Like, he still has to surpass All Might even as a hero. Or he'll surpass even All Might as a hero. But things will be different now, Deku. In the same way you absorb what you see from me and others around you in order to become stronger, I'm going to make everything mine and rise higher. Even higher than you, chosen one. Well, I'll rise even higher. I got no other choice. I just said I'm going to surpass you. That's why I said I've got no other choice than to rise above you. Huh? And All Might notes that, unlike before, the two of them have become more like proper rivals. Eraserhead is not impressed. He's got them wrapped up in his bindings. Like, you have enough energy to get in a fight at the night at the time the exam ended. Oh, very splendid. All Might pretty much goes to Aizawa, tells him the coolest hits. It's like, this incident kind of had to do with me. What? And he's thinking to himself, how does that work out? And we find out that he indeed was the one who stopped Aizawa before. At the time, he explained to Aizawa that he kind of knew both of them before they enrolled, so he kind of has a hunch what's going on, and has to be allowed to handle it. I'll bring them to you right after. What does this have to do with you? And both Bakugo and Deku are like, oh crap. But All Might covers it. It's like, Bakugo felt guilty about my retirement, thinking he caused it. And then he failed the exam, his inferiority complex erupted. Without realizing it, we neglected to care for his mental health. This fight was brought about by the failure of us, the adults. I know, it's pretty much like, fine, but rules are rules and I'm not letting this slide. So they ask who threw the first punch. Bakugo immediately admits to throwing the first punch, but Deku's like, I also fought back. So Aizawa lays down the law. 4 days for Bakugo, 3 days for Deku, both under house arrest, and they'll be cleaning all the dormitory common areas, morning and night, and a written statement of regret from both of them. And for injuries, if the pain doesn't get any better, go to the infirmary. But he tells them to don't dare go thinking that they can just rely on Recovery Girl. Heal yourself for injuries yourselves. Now get your ass to bed. The next day, everyone's like marveling over what actually happened. Like, they got in the fight, dumbasses. What unbelievable. Bakugo's urge to kill is rising. Uraraka wonders if they made up afterward, but Deku's like, it's not really quite like that. And he's like, well, guess we're going to the opening ceremony without you. Todoroki asked Bakugo about the supplementary lessons, but Bakugo's like, just shut up, it's my problem. Well, leave you to your cleaning then. Enjoy. And in an odd little moment, Bakugo actually starts giving Deku advice about his suit style. Like, his wind-up motions are too big. And even with the speed up, Deku is barely able to react. It's not really suited for a slugfest. And it doesn't really mix well with punches. Right? So they have their moment, and then the actual rest of everybody else, he does like doing his thing, giving the big ass gestures. Don't break the line, move swiftly. Of course, then someone points out that he's breaking the line. Oh, the dilemma. And Aizawa wasn't at the Eraserhead wasn't at the entrance ceremony this time either, so he's probably got something else going on. And then we have Monoma, the Class B. He's just gleefully gloating. 2 people! You guys had 2 people fail the provisional exam. Same as always, we got a few screws loose. At this point, Kirishima wonders like, well then, was it only you who failed again this time? He's just like, ha 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 ha, then turns around. Well, who was it? But it turns out everyone in that class passed. Class B, everyone got through. We pulled ahead, Class A. Like, Todoroki's like, sorry guys. Like, it's only their side trying to compete, so don't worry. Then we have this little girl with horns. We know that she's actually a Tsunotori pony. She's actually American. It's like, during the second semester we'll have a class together. Looking forward to it. Really? Can't wait then. At which point Monoma walks over to her and whispers something in her ear. And I can't wait to beat the shit out of them. Like, at which point the class rep girl like just gets on the case like, don't teach her how to say stuff like that. And I found this pretty hilarious on a personal level, just because of a funny little story idea I once had, not because of anything in the joke itself. That said, sucker for the eyes, loving the eyes. Then someone else pops in, like complaining about the line being held up, like it's actually Shinsho from the guy Deku fought at the sports festival, the mind controller guy. But Sarah looks at him like, doesn't he seem a little rougher now? Meanwhile, we have the principal giving this big old long-winded speech, and everyone's like wondering, like, how can he go on for so long? And is Kaminari doing something to Ojiro's tail? I can't quite tell. He actually gets the serious business, talks about how they lost All Might, and that's the effects have begun to manifest even faster than anyone expected. And the people in the department that hear them like to see most striking effects. And the second and third years are actually getting engaged with hero internships, apparently. Even more so than ever, it is critical to have an awareness of the crisis and conduct yourselves accordingly. This gets some of the people wondering if it's like the training they did before. Basically, he just gives like a nice little speech, like the general type stuff. And he's actually like, I kept it short and sweet this time. Breaking the model a little bit, huh? Like, part of the speech involves like declaring them the successors of the current generation, which makes All Might think back to when he started at UA. The principal's like, if you're looking for a successor, then you'll find no other place with an abundance of young, gifted talents than here. What do you say? Take the teaching position. I mean, with your circumstances, it seems like a good idea. And All Might thinks to himself that, while I was searching for a successor, every once in a while I would get the occasional request from UA. There's someone here who would surely be a fitting successor to you there. And we look at that, we see what looks like Shinsho, I think, from the back. It's hard to say, but that seems to be what they're kind of going for here. I'm not quite sure if that, and that's where the chapter ends, and I'm not quite sure if they're suggesting like they specifically said Shinsho, or if that's just like a general thing, like people kept telling them that's where they'd find a successor. Either way, we finally have the conclusion of the Bakugo and Deku fight. And it ends nice, like I said. I love how unusually mature Bakugo is about all this. Like, he accepts that, okay, this is what's going on, and hopefully now he understands that, yeah, it's not actually his fault, because this was always going to happen. He and Deku are proper rivals now. Like, it's actually kind of neat seeing him give Deku actual advice about his fighting style. So I can't imagine, like, he'd take things quite as well if Deku did the same thing back to him, but there you are. That's just how he is. But I'm trying to think here. It's like, what's like, I do like the fact that they are facing consequences. Like, maybe not severe consequences, but apparently because like All Might like spoke up for them, but they're still in trouble and they're still like screwed up. This Monoma guy is just like, dude, come on. Okay. Like, he always makes such a big deal about competing with Class A. Maybe because, like, I wonder if it's because he lost so big during the Sports Fest with Baku. I can't remember if he was, like, this big an asshole back then or not, right offhand. That said, Pony. I love Pony. She is hilarious. Like I said, I once had the idea of, more of like a personal story, like a guy and a guy around this age and his kid's sister, like, and he pretty much has to protect from bad guys who want her for special powers. Usual type of tripe there. But one thing I did have in mind was that he taught the little sister, like, if anyone ever threatens her, like, to tell them, my brother's gonna beat the shit out of you. So when I see Pony doing exactly that, pretty much, it makes me laugh. I really like it. It has nothing to do with the story itself. It's just me personally. I love that gag. And like I said, she has these round, innocent-looking eyes, and I'm a sucker for that. Kind of the same reason, probably the same reason Asui kind of grabbed my attention early on. I love the fact that the principal goes on for like 3 full pages of text, and like, I got it short this time. You gotta feel sorry for what the kids before this had to deal with. And actually, looking at this now, I'm realizing there is one thing on here. It's I was wondering, like, if they were maybe talking about the whole fitting successor thing being a general thing rather than somebody specific. But it does seem here that the successor candidate before Izuku is like, there's like a little tagline there on the end of the chapter. So, alright then. Let's see here. They're going to give us some nice little setup stuff. We're obviously going to see Shinso kind of up here. We're going to get some more from Class B, obviously. So, we're going to be branching out our character roster just a bit. Which I like. Like I said, like, one complaint I've always had with some series, like Bleach or World Trigger, it's like they introduce way too many characters way too quickly. Academia's been okay with it. Like, they give us the class, but we didn't get everybody. They had a fairly gradual drip, like enough that you know who people are and you care who people are. That's important too. Like, that was the thing with, like, say, World Trigger. Like, there's so many characters being talked about and introduced at once. I'm like, who are these people and why do I care? And the answer is, I don't know and I don't care. So, I mean, World Trigger seems like a fun series with the main character. I just can't get into, like, the giant cast. But, moving on. But yeah, so probably the shining point of this chapter is Bakugo actually giving Deku advice on how to improve his fight style. Like, don't wind up so much, don't throw in punches because it doesn't mix well. Not really suited to like an all-on slugfest. So that ought to be interesting. Of course, I also want to see what happens the first time Deku tries to reciprocate, but we'll see about that. But as All Might said, they are proper rivals now. They're actually up against each other without quite as much animosity as there used to be. So hopefully that'll be a good thing for them going forward. Alright, like I said, this week there hasn't been any other chapters besides One Piece and Hero Academia. Like, there's no Akame got killed yet. There's no Attack on Titan, may not be till next week, going how these things usually release. So if there is one by then, I'll try and get something out, but I can't promise it. If I don't, it'll be here next week though. Until then, that has been the review of My Hero Academia 121. Until next time, see you later and bye bye.